It's time for the Lowell Green Show, originating live on blasttheradio.com. Ask your smart speaker to play Blast the Radio. Live video available on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Email Lowell at blasttheradio.com. The number to call or text is 613-413-2217. And now, telling it like it is, here's Lowell Green.
This, or you didn't talk about that. You should have talked about this. You didn't, it's a, okay. Let me know if you think there's something else that's more important or important enough to discuss. Let me know, and I will raise it. But I have to hear from you. I have to know what you think. It's no good coming to me after and say you didn't discuss something when you didn't tell me that I should discuss it. So if there's something you want to discuss, let's discuss it. Let me know what you want to discuss, and I'll discuss it. How about that? But actually, before we get into the main topic, and as I say, if anything else that you want to talk about, let's do it, folks, okay? But I do want to thank everybody that took the time, took the effort, cared enough to respond last week to programs that we did here concerning the unfairness of the return of red zone restrictions on restaurants and small business. As you know, by the Friday, when we signed off at 2:30 last Friday, the word was that restaurants were going to be restricted to only 10 diners. Almost everybody that called, messages, et cetera, said that this made absolutely no sense. So to be honest with you, not long after the show was over, I got a call from Doug Ford's office. I told you that the office listens to this program, and they pay attention. And one of the reasons that they really pay attention to this show is that they realize that for the most part, people who are listening, responding, are conservatives and in all probability supporters of Doug Ford. And so they want to hear what the supporters are thinking and saying. So at any rate, as I say, it was about an hour after the show was over, got a call from somebody saying, Lowell, I just want you to know that we have decided we're hearing all of the complaints, not just from you, but from other places, and we're making the changes. And they did. And thank goodness now, as you know, restaurants are restricted to 50% of capacity or a maximum of 50 people. And from what I understand, most restaurants can live with that. It's not perfect, but it's a hell of a lot better than 10. So the point I'm trying to make here is that you spoke up. A good many of you spoke up. We had more than 100 messages, many of which were highly critical. I passed them on to the Doug Ford's office. I do that. I want the politicians to to understand. Let them know what listeners are saying and talking about, okay? I think that's important. So I guess the lesson here is if you do speak up, you can affect change. I hear very often, and I've heard this for years, it used to drive me crazy, still does, people saying, well, there's no sense of me speaking up. There's no sense of me doing anything. Nobody ever listens anyway. But folks, if you don't speak up in one way or the other, either texting, messaging, phone calls, letter, whatever. If you don't speak up, then you can be damn sure the politicians aren't going to listen to you. They can't listen to the sounds of silence. You can only write songs about that, okay? So I just want to thank everybody that took the time. All of the messages that came in, critical, suggesting that this is unfair. I sent them off to the office. And I know that there were other people and probably other shows dealing with the same thing. But you played a role. We got it changed, folks, because you and a good many other people spoke up. So the message here is loud and clear. Speak up. If you feel something is wrong, speak up. Let your MPP, let your MP know, or let your city councilor know how you feel, what you're thinking, okay? It works, but you got to speak up. Restaurants can live with it. And by the way, I would imagine that the restaurant owners are really pleased that you took the time. It's just an illustration of how ordinary people can force the government to change direction. You did it, and in no small way. As I say, the complaint I'm always hearing is, oh, nobody listens to us. There's no sense. And as we know, I mean, some elections, you're lucky to get 50% turnout. It's the same thing. Well, it doesn't matter who we vote for. It's ridiculous. I mean, anyway, we worked on Friday. You commented, you phoned, you messaged, and we fired it off to Doug Ford. And as a consequence, within hours, the rule was changed. I'm going to tell you this, that if you hadn't spoken up, you can be sure that the restaurants today would be maximum 10 diners, and many of them more would be shut down. Many more bankruptcies, et cetera, et cetera. So, folks, speak up. I hate to lecture, but I believe that in a democracy, not only should we speak up, but we have a duty to speak up. It's no good to let the neighbors, you let your neighbors do the work and do the voting, et cetera. We all have a responsibility to make a better world, or at least try to. Which brings us to the main topic today. And once again, I say, anything else you want to talk about? Got a terrible situation in the military. What the hell is going on there? I mean, is there anybody there that's not, I don't know. It just makes you shake your head. And apparently the prime minister knew about it, I guess, over a year ago. Sanjan or whatever the hell his name, and he knew about it, tried to deny it. I just, sometimes you just shake your head, don't you? So today, my main topic is social media. One way to speak up is through social media, and a good many people do just that. But sadly, from what I see, more and more people are using social media not in an attempt to improve society, but to damage it and even destroy it. Hate-filled posts, pretty disgusting, right? But I think that even worse, more damaging, are the deliberate attempts to mislead and lie about important issues. Increasingly, I don't know about you, but increasingly I see social media being used as a weapon. It's being weaponized to create hate, disunity, distrust, and mischief. It's intended, many of these people, not many, but a good many, too many, are using it to try and destroy our society, trying to destroy good order and good life. As one example, and not the only one by any stretch, this has been going on before COVID, but as an example, the outright lies and misinformation concerning the wearing of masks and vaccines is a prime example of what I'm talking about. Look, anybody with a brain knows that the only way we can ever get back to normal or near normal is to get as many people vaccinated as quickly as we can. We're already seeing some of the effects, even after only about 10% of our population has been vaccinated. We're beginning to see almost no deaths, for example, in long-term care. So already we are seeing the benefits of that. But so you would think that when vaccines are clearly saving lives, and this is the way that we're going to get back to much more freedom, get away from the lockdowns, the restrictions, get as many people vaccinated as quickly as possible. You would think that everybody, every decent person in this country would support this. But in fact, we have quite the opposite. And the same thing with masks. I mean, the Facebook, for example, is filled with horrible lies about masks, how they create problems. In fact, there are some posts out there that say that all of the people in the Spanish flu back in the 20s, they didn't die from the flu, they died from wearing masks. This is the kind of lie that's being spread around. And that somehow it's a destruction of our freedom, etc. This is despicable. And the same thing with vaccines. The lies that are floating around about the vaccines, they haven't been tested, they're going to kill you, everybody's going to die from them, they cause miscarriages, they won't allow women to become pregnant if you use it, all of this stuff. So that's how it is being used for evil purposes. On the other hand, There are many benefits to social media. One of the things I think that's really nice is that Facebook, for example, and I'm sure some other sites, allow you to stay in touch, hopefully, with distant relatives and friends, etc. I know in our case it does. And I will give you another example. About a year and a half ago, Debbie and I used Facebook to raise almost $5,000 through a GoFundMe program. But most of the people who responded were on Facebook and saved, I'm going to be honest with you, this saved the life of a young Bahamian mother. She desperately needed a surgery in the Bahamas. You either have insurance or you've got to pay for it. They didn't have insurance, very poor. So we raised, thanks to Facebook listeners, for the most part, over $5,000. We saved her life. People did. So there's a benefit. There's a good. So, but weighing that against that are all of the misinformation. There's no question in my mind that there are people, and probably far too many of them out there, that are afraid to take the vaccines because of the lies and the misinformation. I don't understand why people would want to do that. I don't understand why people want the lockdowns to continue, because that, if we don't get vaccinated, that's what's going to happen. The longer we don't have vaccinations, the longer the lockdowns, the restrictions, the masks, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't understand why some people out there are spreading these lies, vicious, miserable, hateful lies. So my question is, on overall, okay, would you say that social media, and I include all forms, has been a benefit to society, or is it harmful? On a scale, what would you say it is more beneficial than harmful, or more harmful than beneficial? How about you, personally? Have you benefited from social media? If so, how? Have you found that social media has in any way damaged your lifestyle, harmed you, or attempted to, or somebody that you know? So what's the verdict here, folks? You're the jury. Is it beneficial? Is it harmful? What do you think? What has it done for you? What is it doing for our society, in your opinion? John, you've got some thoughts on this one.
Oh, I can talk for days on this subject, Lowell Green. Yeah, I mean,
you go right ahead. I'll take a vacation.
Okay. I mean, in my opinion, it has been both a blessing and a curse. I've often opined that, I would love just to walk away from Facebook, but the reality is, what you and I are doing right now, how would we get word out about this if it were not for social media? So that's a benefit.
True. Yes.
On the other hand, we do what we do for a living. We put ourselves out there. That opens us up to extreme criticism. And it also, in some cases, opens us up to people who, feel that they know us personally. I've had people show up at my house. I don't know who you are. I've had people, send the weirdest, most bizarre messages. Yeah, that stuff happens. So, and listen, my biological family, if it were not for Facebook, would not have found me, and I wasn't looking for them. So, that's been a difficult process, but it's also been a great gift in my life. So, I love it and I hate it at the same time. And that's kind of the feel I'm getting from a lot of the comments so far. And if you're ready for some of those comments, I'd love to pass them on to you. But first, let me give the phone number out. We'd love your comments. I think this is a great subject, 613-413-2217. And yeah, the fake news that is out there, I think it is so easy for people now just to create a website, to create anything that looks and smells real, and the stuff that gets shared that's not vetted. That's what really scares me. We've talked long, in many details about that, especially when we first started this show.
One of the things is for sure, and that is that social media certainly has the potential to be extremely damaging. I use, I think, as the best example, the anti-mask and the anti-vaccine campaign that's underway. There's no question in my mind that one of the reasons that this thing still hangs on as long as it has, that we've got the lockdowns, etc., is because of the deliberate misinformation being spread on social media. Why people want to do this, I don't know. It's almost as if some of these people want the pandemic to continue, want more people to die. It's very strange. I suppose that some of these people posting this stuff really believe it, but I find that difficult.
I wonder
with-
though.
Pardon?
I wonder though if a good number of these people that are sharing that yes, I think they believe that information, and but is there malice behind them
I
sharing
think in
that?
many cases, yes.
I think in some. I don't know if I would say many, but I think in some. There's certainly an element of people out there who take great joy in making people suffer, or putting it out there and watching the world crumble around it. I mean, the same kind of people that show up in front of the mayor's house and spray paint graffiti, on the road.
I one of the things that I find very disturbing about social media is that it gives voice to some people who otherwise we in all probability would never hear from. And some of these people are just not. I'm going to be very blunt. They're very not very nice people, and they seem to take delight in upsetting people, in making people worry, in hurting people. I mean, some of the posts, let's face it, are a deliberate attempts to hurt people. And so, I mean, you can't say that's without malice if you deliberately set out to hurt people. But most people, John, must understand that the only way we're going to get out of this pandemic, get back to a normal life, is to get as many people vaccinated as quickly as possible. How anybody would not understand that after all the evidence that's out there? Either these people are very, 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 very stupid, or they are very, very, very evil and want this thing to continue. They enjoy suffering. They enjoy other people's suffering. That, to me, there's a fair amount of that out there. And one of the reasons that I say this is I know that when I am finished here with this, that because I say get vaccinated, wear the mask, do what you're supposed to, that there will be people who will respond with a good deal of hate towards me. They don't feel that I or anybody should be even suggesting that you should get vaccinated. That's very hateful stuff. Yes, John, we have a phone call coming in.
I didn't get her name. She says there's static on the line, but let's try it anyway. Go ahead, please. You're on with Lowell Green Live. Nope, she hung up on us. Well, that frees up the line. 613-413-2217. Apologies, Lowell.
Have you got some emails, texts coming in there?
Absolutely do.
The question overall is, in your opinion, there's two questions really.
Yep.
How has social media affected your life? Has it improved it in any way? Do you find it beneficial or not? And overall society, is the social media beneficial for society or overall more harmful? Go ahead, please, John.
A text to 613-413-2217. More positive than negative overall. Perhaps as much as 25% is negative, but can be suppressed by blocking filters, etc. Also, ignore, doesn't engage with sources of negativity. That is more. Peter says social media is great, gets the messages out to others, and educates them on different opinions. Other political parties weaponize social media against the average person. Dean says the one particular use for Facebook is that it's helped me reconnect with some cousins or some friends I haven't seen in 20 years. As for the rest of it, meh. He says, meh. And says, I enjoy the interaction on Facebook. I don't use Twitter or other outlets. And we do have a phone call back, Lowell, if you want to go to the phone call now.
Yeah, sure.
Hello, you're on with Lowell Green. Go ahead.
Great. Thanks for taking my call. I don't think I could have gotten through COVID without social media. Cured the boredom. I'll say I was able to rekindle with Facebook friends that, old high school chums that I thought had long since gone. But I don't know. From an entertainment value, a sanity sake, I'm sticking with it.
Well, I'm not suggesting, but I'm just asking that overall, does any of the false information, the outright hate, does that concern you in any, or do you just discount that?
Haters are going to hate no matter what, and tune it out. Yes, it makes it easier, but I look at those people as the cowards because they're certainly brave behind a computer screen or a telephone.
The thing that really concerns me are these campaigns, anti-mask, anti-vaccine, that are spreading fear out there, needless fear, and I mean that's very harmful for society. It's just prolonging the agony, to be honest with you. I don't know why. Why do you think someone would deliberately try and frighten people about vaccines or masks? What's your view there?
I can't imagine, other than they're not in the right mind. Let's go to Trump. He was no mask, vaccines weren't necessary, we can cure this a whole other way. He wasn't in his right mind as far as I see. And I think anyone that wants to put it out there is not thinking straight.
But they're certainly damaging. Thank you for your call. Interesting perspective. Thank you. Shields. I keep alerting people to the fact that the government rebate program ends at the end of this month. In addition to that, the carbon tax, I've been saying an increase of 50% in the carbon tax. I guess I've been wrong. It's 33%. I'm not quite sure, but all I know is that the carbon tax kicks in on April the 1st, which means that everything is going to cost more. Couple that with the fact that the government rebate program for appliances ends at the end of this month, sends a signal that, look, get yourself to Shields, either on the internet, phone, or whatever it is. If you're in the need of appliances of any kind, Shields has got them for you, and the government rebates still apply. If you go to shields.ca, you'll see everything they have in stock, and it's in stock, no waiting, and you will see the government rebates that are available. They're good people, folks. You can trust them. We're getting a lot of very positive comments, not only about Shields, but for some reason, they really love the delivery drivers as well. Shields, yes, John, we've got some more emails coming in here.
See, I want to do business with Shields just to meet the drivers. Patricia says, wearing a mask has saved me from catching a common cold this year. I was very wary about the vaccine at the start, but now I'm getting anxious to get mine. Social media, as with anything, can be used for good, but also evil. Rick says, it's a rare opportunity to exchange information at a time during which our media entities have been bribed with our money to serve the government. Kim says, love it and hate it. It's a good description. If you could keep the bad and negativity out and the good and the positive in, it would be great. We do have a phone call, Lowell, if you're ready to go to the phone. 613-413-2217. You're on live with Lowell Green. Go ahead, please.
Oh, hi, Lowell.
Yes.
Just a bit about Facebook.
Yes.
I love
well,
Facebook.
I'm talking. It's not just Facebook. I'm talking about social media. Period. Yes.
Well, social media. Yeah. I normally just use Facebook, but I find it's good to stay in touch with family and friends, from back home and know what's going on more. But what I don't like about it is if you are reading a news article or something and you put your thoughts down to the article, it's like you're bashed, you're attacked viciously sometimes, called you're a stupid idiot and worse than that. And it's just like people just do not accept each other's point of views, and they want to hurt you and make you feel bad about yourself.
You see, I've lived most of my life with that. If you're going to do a talk show, as I've done for 60 years,
right.
The complaints and the threats and the hate just sort of rolls off. But I can understand people like yourself not used to that this can be very, very disturbing. No question about it.
It's hard. Yeah.
Why? Let me ask you this. You have a good mind. Why do you think some people deliberately set out to hurt others?
I honestly believe they don't like themselves. They have issues with themselves. They feel poorly about themselves, and maybe they feel if they can knock somebody down, it makes them feel better.
This is the Dagwood Bumstead theory. Have you ever heard of the Dagwood Bumstead theory?
No.
Well, and you have espoused it quite well, and that is that the reason we get a kick out of Dagwood Bumstead is he's dumber than we are. So, he gets into more trouble than we do. So we really like him. I think that you're right, that these people, if they can knock down others, the further I guess they can knock down others, the better they can feel about themselves. It totally confuses me, but I've lived with this most of my life.
Yeah, it's hard because, I accept everybody's point of views and facts, and I listen to every side. And when you say something from your point of view and get viciously attacked, it's like, well, okay.
One of the things to note is that very often they will not attack what you are saying because they don't have the brains to deal with an issue. So it's much easier just to attack the messenger. This idea of attacking the messenger goes back to Greek days. So, but this is a signal that you're dealing with somebody that really doesn't have much of an IQ, believe me. Thanks for your call. Good call.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
I got to get a word in here before for Centennial Glass.
Yes, sir.
The same thing applies with the whatever it's going up at least 30%, 33%. I believe it's closer to 50%. We're talking about the carbon tax. I mean, it's hard to believe that in a pandemic like this, how deeply we are in debt and how deep many people are and personally in debt, that he would heap more tax on us. But he is, and gets a lot of support. So what I'm saying here is if you're in need, if you're looking at new windows, new doors, whatever, if it's glass, Centennial Glass, these are the experts. These are the people who have been doing this since 1967. They're professionals. Their pricing is very, very reasonable. They're very, very competitive. You can be sure Centennial Glass is very competitive because a lot of the major buyers, hotels, restaurants, they use Centennial Glass because they know the prices are very, very competitive indeed. But give them a call now, folks, before the carbon tax adds everything, adds price to everything. CentennialGlass.ca. Yes, John, you have some more text coming in.
To the last caller, and by the way, that was a great call. Thank you for calling. David says, the caller saying Trump was anti-vaccine. We wouldn't have the vaccine without his administration, but people buy into the mainstream media. Nina says, social media is dangerous if you're gullible and can't think for yourself and depend on others for answers, but hasn't affected me whatsoever. She calls herself Cranky Lisa. She's watching and listening to the show on Twitch. Cranky Lisa says, I've benefited, yes and no. I aired political views when Trudeau was voted in last time and lost some socialist relatives online. And an email from another Lisa. The address here is lowell@blasttheradio.com. She says, social media and media in general is neither harmed nor improved anyone's life in some ways. What the virus has done is expose the injustices and the abuses towards others and those sorts of things to those who were once in offices with their heads buried in the sand, ignoring what is all around them that now they can no longer avoid.
Very interesting. We're running a little short of time, so I have to say something about vaccines. I don't understand why we seem to be so good at screwing this up. I won't go into Trudeau's screwing up, not ordering nearly enough, soon enough, all of that. But this business, last week we were told that if you went to a website, last Monday, go to a website if you're 80 plus, and you will be able to book immediately your 2 vaccines. Well, my dear wife spent most of the day trying to do this. She was finally able to book I think the first booking was for March 31st, second booking for July 14th, except we couldn't book the July 14th. So in other words, we couldn't do it. So it was a screw up. So the next day we finally got through with a phone, and we're told that, yes, okay, we'll get you booked in for March the 24th at 9:57 and July 14th, etc. Second shot, 4 months, which I don't think is right, but anyway. So we thought, okay, so we all set out. So then yesterday we got an email saying, I'm sorry, your reservation has been canceled. We're part of this 3,000 people that a mistake was made. So make a long story short, it'll be this Wednesday, the 24th at 2:00, so I won't be able to do this show. And then again on July 14th for the second shot. So here we are. I'm 84. We're trying to do what they say. They screw up the website. Then we finally get through on the phone. Took a long time. They screw that up, and then they screw. I mean, here we are in the United States. They are now vaccinating 2.5, almost 3 million people a day. No problem. Driving with cars, going into sports stadiums. In the UK, they're doing about 700, 800,000 people a day. No problems. Everything. Pas de problème, though. Here in Canada, we can't get 3,000 people aged 80 vaccinated properly. We got to screw up not once, not twice, but 3 times. I don't understand why. I don't understand it. We have another phone call. Yes, John.
We do, but first, I have been attacked. What were we saying about, since you can't attack the message, you attack the messenger?
Yes.
Thank you, Dennis, for your lovely comment. He says, not to mention, BTR is bi-assed, whatever bi-ass means, run by a kid. Oh, my God, I'm a kid.
Oh, this is this guy in
Thank
Windsor.
you.
See here, this guy's just a
Aw.
this guy crawls out of his mother's
You know
basement.
him. You know him.
Oh, well, no, I know of him. I know
Oh,
people like
Lowell, how does it feel to work for a wannabe radio station with kindergarten equipment, Lowell?
this. You see, these are the people that in school there was always some guy that was a bully, right?
Yeah,
he would pick on handicapped kids. If you got a poor kid with a lisp or a limp or something, and they would that's this kind. I mean, he's just a poor, tragic, sad, shell of a person. Go back into your mommy's basement and soak up your
At least I'm in my own basement, man. We do have a call, Lowell. Do you want to take the call?
Well, sure. One more
right.
phone call. Absolutely.
You're on with Lowell Green. Go ahead. Welcome to the show.
Yes.
Hi, John. Hi, Lowell.
Hi.
Hi. Yeah, I have two comments actually.
Okay.
The first about social media. I have a love-hate relationship with it as well. Just echoing the last caller. I met my current fiance on or through Facebook. So
how did that work out?
It's good. We're still together. We're planning on getting married at some point, but COVID is kind of screwing that up.
Okay.
And the downside, as I mentioned in the text earlier, when Trudeau got reelected back in 19 there, I posted something political about Trudeau, and my left-wing relatives, extended relatives, basically attacked me, and for airing something on my Facebook page. But that's what you're going to get.
Oh boy. Well,
Yeah.
So did you lose them as relatives or what?
Yep, that's right. They won't talk to me.
Yeah,
Another thing, Lowell,
go ahead,
Sorry.
Please. You said you had
I
something
just
else.
wanted to mention you were mentioning about the website. Last week, my 89-year-old father was having difficulty booking his COVID shot
Right.
for him and my mom. He tried for days to get through to their website. He had mistakes all over the place, and it wasn't his fault. He said it just wasn't user friendly, which means I had to go over and help him, and we got the appointments booked. But what about all those other seniors that are not really good with computers? How do they get booked?
Well, we finally gave up with with trying to book it through the web, and we
Yeah.
used the phone. And I must tell you that we got through very, very easily with someone that
Okay.
was very helpful. Unfortunately, they booked us at the wrong time, but we
Oh.
did get through. So my answer to that is, I think the telephone, the good old telephone. Thank
Yeah.
God we still have phones around. But
Yeah.
what my point is, I don't understand why we have so much difficulty. I mean, we have vaccinated only about 10% of our population. Most of the other countries out there, Western countries, are at 30, 40, 50% of their population. We're at about 10%, and we can't seem to get it right. I don't understand why we can't get it right. Why are there these constant screw-ups with we have very few vaccines to dish out. I don't understand why. I mean, does being a Canadian mean that you can't get it right? That's not the way it used to be here. Thank you for your
Very good
call.
question.
Thank you all. And thank you all. And once again, thanks, folks, for responding last week. And listen, you know what? Shop local. Go out and try one of these restaurants. There's some great restaurants out there. They need the business. They will work. And you know what? They're very, very safe. The restaurants we go to, they've spent a lot of money in most cases. They're proper distancing. They take your temperature in most cases, take your name and so. And please, look, if you go into a restaurant and they ask for your name and phone number, don't give them static, okay? They're doing what they are supposed to do. They're trying to protect you. Thank you all. We will be back.
Lowell Green, live on blasttheradio.com. Show info and links at blasttheradio.com/Lowell Green. Can't join us live? Subscribe to the Lowell Green podcast, available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and more. Or ask your smart speaker to play the Lowell Green podcast. Join us live, weekdays at 2 p.m. Eastern on blasttheradio.com.
Is this some sort of hip music that I don't understand?